Do you believe that it takes thousands, if not tens of thousands of subscribers to make serious amounts of money online? Well, I wouldn't be surprised if you do believe this, because most people in your situation believe this to be true. However, by the end of the video, I'm going to hopefully shift this belief pattern so you no longer have this limiting belief, leading to success like the results you see on screen right now. Now, in order to do this, we will be going over the concept of education content versus entertainment content and how you can use this to get ahead of 99% of creators online. So let's just start this right away. What does educational content do differently from entertaining content? And there's a couple of things, but the main overarching principle here is that in order to make serious amount of money online, you want to be attracting potential customers to your videos or your products or your services rather than friends or buddies or people who relate to you. So the problem with most people is that they will make content just purely for views and impressions and likes. And what this usually leads to is making content that is either entertaining or relatable or somewhat degrading to yourself personally. For example, I used to be in the self-improvement space, and I would see a lot of guys getting views there talking about their struggles of nofap, or their struggles to build muscle, or their struggles with women. And they'd get lots and lots of views from guys who are in similar situations that they are in. You know, maybe they're not getting women, they're not making money, they're not XYZ. And they would get lots of views from these people who related highly to their situation, where they had a problem that they couldn't really solve or shift. And these guys thought that they were doing well. They thought that they were being successful, quote unquote, because they were getting so many views. However, the type and the quality of viewer was those that would never realistically buy a product from these people, rather than people who were just kind of there for the vibes, or there to be friendly, or there to have a shoulder to cry on, metaphorically and hypothetically. So the problem with making lots of content that falls in the bracket of entertainment is, like I said, you attract people who are on a similar wavelength to you, similar problems with you, and you get lots of these people, you get lots of views. However, the views are not very high quality. And by high quality, I mean the likeliness to pay for your product, buy your service or buy your product or join your community. The people who are watching these videos just to find someone that they relate to is not the type of person that is going to eventually pay you money to help them solve a problem. And here is the reason for this, is because when you make content that is entertainment content, and I don't just mean like the Mr. Beast or the Sidemen type of entertainment, I mean like you telling your struggles or your stories with your struggles, you not giving some advice or looking like an authority, means that people are going to perceive you as a friend or a buddy and someone that they can just kind of relate to and comment on their videos and get all these dopamine hits without solving an actual problem, without solving a real life struggle or pain point that they may have. Whereas if we flip to the opposite of this, the guys who are making educational content, they are getting a fraction of the views, they have a fraction of the subscribers of these entertainment guys, but they have lots of people coming to them and paying them money, hence making more money every single month. Now, the reason for this is because the education creators position themselves as a teacher. They position themselves as a state of authority. And what this does is means that the people who will go and watch these educational videos, they're going to be a lot higher quality in terms of more likely to buy or more likely to be a potential future customer. Because think about it, a lot of the educational videos are very different to the entertainment videos. And the type of people who are watching educational videos are very different from the type of people who are watching entertainment videos. So here is the problem, here's the dilemma here, is that most guys, and I made this mistake when I was making my old YouTube channel, would make content purely for educational purposes or to attract friends or buddies or people who relate to them, rather than positioning themselves as an authority and someone who can solve a problem, and hence attracting people who will potentially be a future customer and pay them money in the future for their product and their service. So let's go a little bit more zoomed in here. Let's double click into this. What does educational content actually look like practically? Because you're thinking to yourself now, okay, I get the idea that we want to attract people by being educational content creators because those people, even though there is less of them, are more likely to pay us money. We'll make more money every single month. They'll be better customers. We'll have better mental health, make more money, all this good stuff. So we want to attract the people who watch educational content. But what does educational content actually look like? Well, let's start with the video styles. So what you'll see with educational content and the guys who are at the top of the game of the educational content is they focus on the long form videos. A lot of entertainment guys focus on the shorter form videos. So the 1 to 2, 3, 4, 5 minute YouTube videos or YouTube shorts, Instagram reels, Twitter reels, all these stuff. You'll see a lot of entertainers, for example, iShowSpeed or Kai Cenat or KSI or Ashton Hall is a big one recently. They'll focus on this short form content to get millions and millions of views very, very quickly by going viral. And that's all well and good for their brand, but that's not what we want to do here. We're not a well-known household name, and the chances of us getting 200, 300, 500 million views on a video is very, very low. So what we're going to do instead is take the educational route. So this means, YouTube videos between 10 and 60 or 90 minutes even. This means long form videos rather than the short form videos. And there's a reason for this, and here is that reason. The people who are going to buy your products and your services are likely to firstly consume a good 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 hours of your content, of the things that you put up online. Think if you've ever bought a product or a service off an influencer, you probably haven't just watched them for, like 5, 10 minutes, seen a couple of reels and then thought, yeah, let me buy their thing. You probably watched hours and hours of their thing, seen their transformation over, weeks or months or even years. And then you've thought, okay, this guy or this girl has convinced me to buy their thing. I'm gonna, now buy their thing because I've watched hours of their content. And the educational content creators understand this. So what they do is that they just focus on the long form videos. They focus on getting people to watch as many minutes from them as possible. And the easiest way to do that is to just create longer videos and make them good, make them quality, make them attractive and spark curiosity and help solve a problem. And then people are going to watch you for longer. You're going to have a higher, watch duration rather than just creating shorts all the time and people watching, 30, 20, 60-second clips of you. You're going to actually have a full guide or a full YouTube video that someone's going to sit and watch and consume your things. And that is going to be a lot more beneficial when it comes to trying to sell a product or a service, because people firstly consume lots of content from that person before they actually buy and make the purchase. So going in even further now, what does the editing style for these videos look like? So we've said that we're going to make long form content, and that would probably be for you YouTube videos, could be something else, but most likely it's going to be long form YouTube videos. And the editing style that we're going to use is just adding information. So what this looks practically, and hopefully me editing this is giving you a good idea of what that should look like. It should be a lot more based on text on the screen, a couple of images on the screen, maybe a couple of videos, but the whole philosophy and the idea between the editing is not editing for the sake of editing. It's not editing to give people dopamine hits. It's not editing to keep people engaged. It's editing to add information, to give a visual or write some notes so that people don't forget, or if people are watching the video and taking notes at the same time, they can write it down. A good idea that I like to use in my mind is, can someone watch my video and listen to it at the same time? So for example, could they just put their phone in their pocket and have my video playing and still get value from it? A lot of videos on YouTube don't have this, because in order for the video to be, educational, they need all this flashy editing to keep you engaged. But I focus on, okay, can I get people to watch the video and receive value, but then also listen to the video and receive value? And if you only listen to the video, are you missing out on a lot of things because there's so much editing that you're missing out on the main chunk of the video? or is the main chunk of the video the actual value and the content itself? And I think the good philosophy here is to just make the video very valuable in what you are actually saying, in the content itself, rather than all this flashy editing, dopamine hits, hit markers, flame balls, music, cutscenes, blah 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 blah, B-rolls, everything. You would much rather have a bit of text on the screen, or a visualizer on the screen, or maybe if I talk about a website, I'll put the website up on the screen so you can get the same context as me. That's all it's doing, is adding context. It's adding a little bit of value and making it easier for the viewer to kind of keep track and keep taking notes. But we're not doing it for the sake of dopamine and getting people engaged and increasing the average view duration. We don't care about that as educational content creators. All we care about is, okay, we want to add value to our potential customers, and if we do that, then we'll have a successful video. Finally, I want to zoom out a little bit further here. So we've talked about what videos we're actually going to make practically and what our editing style is going to be practically. Now I want to put an idea in your head, and this idea is you want to be always solving problems constantly. Think about the journey that your ideal customer is going to take. Where are they starting and where do they want to be? And think of all the problems that come along for the journey. There's going to be a problem at the start, in the middle, at the end. There's constantly problems flowing everywhere. And you want to think and write down as many problems that this person may run into on their journey, and give the answers as your content, as your YouTube video. And make sure that you are always answering the question, what problem am I solving? So for example, with this video, I'm solving the problem that people think that they need lots of viewers, lots of subscribers to make lots of money online. But in fact, the opposite is true. And it's the more quality people that you attract, and you attract quality people by making quality educational videos for potential customers rather than people who are just there to be friendly with you. So always have in your mind, write it on a post-it note, write it down in front of you, keep track of it. Always think to yourself, what problem am I solving with this video? Okay, so now you know the content that you're going to be making to make lots of money online. You're going to be making long-form YouTube videos, or at least some sort of long-form video. You're going to be having minimalistic editing, and you're going to be solving a problem throughout. But you might be thinking to yourself, and if you're a forward thinker, you'll be thinking to yourself, okay, I realize what type of content I now need to make. But I've heard about people talking about like clicking the link in the bio. All of the top guys that I watch, all the educational content creators I watch, always say click the link in the bio or click the link in the description. Why do they say this? What does that link actually do? What's the next step? Well, if you want to know exactly what that link does, it's called a lead magnet. This is their lead magnet, and it's the next step of the journey that comes after making content. Now, if you want to know exactly what lead magnets to use to start to build a 6-figure community, I made a list of 3 of them that are working today that you can check out by clicking the video on screen right now.